And we're live. Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to another 3D Hangouts, episode 188, Cutting Machines.
That's right, this week we're going to be taking a look at setting up artwork for cutting machines.
We're going to do a bit of prototyping with some slime.
And then we're going to be looking at some cool 3D printed time lapses from this week. All this and more on 3D Hangouts.
Here we go. And welcome back everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Noah Ruiz. I'm a designer here at Adafruit, and joining me every week is Adabot.
What's going on everybody? I'm Pedro Ruiz, Creative Tech here at Adafruit, and every week we come to share 3D printing projects featuring electronics from Adafruit.
That's right, this is where we combine 3D printing and other mediums to make inspirational projects for you folks. Thank you so much for joining us today. Let's go ahead and start off with the show with this morning's coupon code, Glue Stick. So if you want to get anything in the Adafruit shop, please do, and use coupon code Glue Stick. It'll get you 10% off your order. Works on everything in the shop except for Adabox subscriptions and the gift certificates. If you want to check out the free deals that we got going on, go to adafruit.com/free. Just a little update, the Circuit Playground has been in high demand, so we're no longer offering it, but you can still get free shipping for orders over $199 and promo protos. So be sure to check out adafruit.com/free for those.
Any updates coming up? Looks like we have them all on your shirt now.
Yeah, they're here. I forgot that joke. For the fine folks in New York City, you get this option for delivery, same day delivery. So if you really need your electronics ASAP, you can do that. So check out the site for more info on that. Hey, checking out Circuit Python. We have a meeting every Monday at 2 p.m. It is open to the public. It is exclusively ran on our Discord server. So go over to discord.gg/Adafruit to get in the Discord. We're chilling out there. We're hanging out over there in the live broadcast chat room. Pedro's typing away, saying hello. And this week's project. Let's jump into this week's project.
Jumping right in to this week's project, which is how to set up artwork for cutting machines. We've been doing a lot of paper crafts, and one of the things that simplify the workflow is not cutting your hands, but having a machine do that for you.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's like 3D printing, but with like flat materials. It's a subtractive manufacturing thing, isn't it? Yeah, so go to learn.adafruit.com and you'll see the latest guide there. We published it this morning, early this morning. It's basically a nice introduction to using cutting machines like ones from Crecut or Silhouette. Those are really great brands, manufacturers of these machines, and we thought we'd put together a guide that walks you through some of the things we've learned. So the homepage just kind of talks about why you would want to use them, some of the things we're working with, and some tools that you might want to get in your arsenal if you do want to get into the more paper crafty aspect of making. So check that out. There's some good links here. Talking about the materials, one of the really nice materials that we like is something called chipboard. You may have heard of it. It's a kind of like a cardboard. It's a strong, thick paper typed material that comes in many different thicknesses and sizes. So we linked here the one that we found, because we've played around with different weights, different thicknesses, and we found this version here works really well. So we have it linked to the Amazons, so you can get it there, because we don't stock it, but we might as well link it to Amazon.
There's actually a better deal on those. If you check on the suggested items for that, there's actually a 100-pack for, I think, $10 more. So definitely check that out if you're going to be using a lot of chipboard on your projects.
That's right. Okay, cool. And then for cardstock, there's so many different colors, which is great. So you can find just the right shade of purple for Blinka, or the right shade of Adabot. The right shade of blue for Adabot. Just
Adabot blue.
I got the nice pack in clearance, so you can get those.
Definitely check out the clearance aisle for all of these. Check out all your art department stores for this. They're usually in the clearance bin for really good prices. So
that's right.
Definitely look around, shop around when you're picking up any material.
That's right.
Same thing goes with the adhesive cutting mats.
Yeah, these these sticky mats are really what you use to keep your material down while the machine is cutting. They come in different stickinesses, and we tend to use the lighter side, which works kind of generically for paper and other things like that. You can secure materials that way using a squeegee tool. So if you don't have a squeegee tool, those are really nice. If you've ever applied like painter's tape or anything like that to your 3D printer bed, you'll be very familiar with this method. And as far as sort of slicing goes, you know how you have to kind of do slice settings for 3D printing. For cutting machines, you really don't have to do too much, because a lot of the machines already have preset materials for you. But if you want to make your own materials, most of these softwares have a way to do so. In this case, we wanted to make our own custom profile for our chipboard. It's a little bit thicker material, so we want to crank the pressure all the way to the max and then do a minimum of 3 multi-cut passes, so it gradually cuts through the thick material. So those are kind of a profile thing. And really the hard work here is sort of setting up your vector artwork. So we talk about how, well, really we put it together a sort of a 10 to 15 minute video on just walking through the whole process of thinking about how to combine different shapes to make sort of these layers that can be just kind of fitted on top of each other to form this image. In this case, we did Sparky, because I actually hadn't done that yet, so I thought it was kind of a neat character to work on. The SVG files, if you guys really want to make these characters, whether they're paper or on vinyl for window decals or stickers, or even t-shirts for doing some iron-on vinyl, it's all the same process in terms of like cutting out the artwork, and then assembling it is where it differs. But if you do want those SVGs, they're on our Adafruit GitHub repo, so check it out there. There's a link right here. And then we just kind of walk through some of the CAD things, some of the techniques, like color masking techniques. A good example would be the wavy patterns on Minerva, how they're self-contained within her body. Instead of all these individual little pieces that have to be layered on top, you can just cut them away from one layer and then reveal the color in the other layer. Do we have a problem with connectivity?
No, you're good.
Okay, I see this red warning. I'm like, oh my God, what's going on? So that's what the page talks about. This is my favorite page because it's layer by layer. And then we break down all of the layers for each individual character Over here we got AdaBot, so it just kind of is a nice little animated GIF that shows you which layers go in, and then I have a little text that shows you which layers go where. But they're pretty self-explanatory. I really worked hard to, well, we really worked hard to make it sort of less assembly and more about just kind of getting a nice looking character.
Really, it's about working smarter in terms of assembling all of these, since there
That's
are instances where you do have to align the objects to, for this case, the eyeball, trying to get that into the center.
Mouth as well. Yeah, and as we worked on these characters, we didn't know that they were going to be hard to assemble until we actually started assembling.
Yeah.
So that was really cool to kind of prototype and get a nice working, a nice finalized kind of SVG for you guys. Well, there's Minerva. She's probably the most detailed one, the most fashionable one, I would say. And again, we are some of these things are separated just for articulation. I probably didn't mention that, but if you don't know why they're separated, that's why. So we can do a little bit of pivoting and articulation.
Yeah, it's exactly what these were created for, especially the Blinka, where you can hook that up into last week's project, which was the box template for servos. Yeah, and since then I've actually improved Minerva. So the biggest improvement to her was figuring out how to get those little details on her belly to not have to be these individual kind of strips that I'd have to manually place, because that's how I did it the first time. And then as I worked on the other Circuit Player on characters, I figured a good way to just kind of have a separate layer that's solid blue, and then have the pink layer have those little notches cut out, so they kind of look like it's revealing these little notches in her belly. So a lot of fun details, and again, you can do all sorts of different projects with these vector files, so please do check them out. All right, let's go ahead and jump into the overhead and take a look at this right here. So you might know this guy. Some people might associate him with blue magic smoke. This is Sparky, the blue smoke monster. And he comes out whenever you let him out of electronics. So this is composed of a couple pieces of cardstock, and on the back there is this nice thick chipboard. This is actually thicker chipboard, and we've been experimenting with the new knife blade that is exclusive to the Maker models of the Crecut or Cricut cutting machines. So you can cut some deeper cuts, and you can use wood now with these cutting machines with the knife blade. Yeah, we definitely got to try that out.
So we're gonna start experimenting with that.
Yeah, they got profiles for basswood and balsa wood.
Balsa wood.
Those
are
some
sort of the craft
or something. Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
Yep. So we're gonna try to do some 3D stuff.
So what we're gonna actually do is run a demo on setting up a cut for building Sparky.
That's right. Let's do that now. So the software that the Crecut uses, I'm going to call it Crecut for those who call it Cricut. I'm going to call it Crecut because that's the way I call it. You can call it whatever you'd like, but so these are the projects. I got Sparky over here. I've already imported him in, so let's go ahead and do a little bit of customization here. So I can click on that. Here's our sort of canvas that we can work with. Sparky is imported. And one of the cool things that the software will do is it'll break apart all of the layers and allow you to manipulate them and kind of tell the machine what you'd like to do. In this case, all of our pieces need to be cuts, but you have other options. You can make them a write. If you wanted to write this, pin plot it with a pin or a marker, you could do that using this write feature. If you wanted to do a foldable box, like the ones you saw before, you could use the scoring feature as well. Or if you want to do something where you print it out on your printer, on your inkjet printer, you can have a precise cutout by using that feature, which is pretty cool. There's a light sensor on the tool hub that actually figure out where that artwork is and cut it out appropriately. So now that we have our stuff and I explained a little bit about it, I'm ready to make my cuts. So when I hit the Make It button, it will automatically separate all of the colors into individual mats because, well, we could kind of hack it and make it and add some different colored things on there. But if you have something big, something that's like, you know, taking up the most of the canvas, you'll want to separate. Well, it automatically separates them for you. Then what you can do here is you can tell the what size of material you're using. So right now I'm actually using some small strips of material. So I'm just going to set all of these to 6 by 6 inches. And you can see how the mats automatically change colors to reflect the colored layers. And I think we're ready. One thing I want to do is I actually want to take this piece here and put it on a separate mat. So I can do that by using this option, move to another mat. I'm going to create a new mat and then use this color as our project color for that mat. So now this is separated into its own piece because I want to cut it out separately. So let's start with the black first. So I got this black. You can move this around if you want, but I want it to the edge because that's where I'm going to put my my stock on my mat. So this is a new camera angle. This is where our sort of setup is. So let me hit the continue button so we can connect to the machine. And hopefully it works. Let's go back over to the website. So you can see I just hit the continue button down here, which I'm covering, but it's okay. It's down here in the lower right corner. So I have some options here to choose what material I have. I'm using some medium cardstock, which is sort of your standard cardstock. You get the ability to change the pressure if you want. I'm going to leave it at default. And then step number 2 is like make sure your mat is loaded and your fine point blade is loaded, which I already have loaded. So let's go ahead and take a look at the actual live stuff. So I got myself my sticky mat. This is your light grip mat. It's going to work for most things. So what did I say? I'm going to do black first. So here's my little cardstocks. They're pretty small. I've kind of pre-cut them to fit my my shape here. So anything smaller than this wouldn't work. So just a little tip there. I'm going to start off with the black material, and I'll just set it right here. One of the things that I like what the machine does, it'll actually give you a little bit of wiggle room. So if you don't have very straight edges here, it doesn't matter because it'll actually offset it slightly.
There is a slight padding on there. I like
I kind of like it, to be honest.
Yeah, especially when there's you want to use every piece of your stock.
Yeah,
you can actually get a little bit more out of it by looking at where the actual padding for that is.
Right. When you're loading the mat, there's these 2 little notches here, so you just got to make sure that you're in there and not over it. So that's what you want to do. So these tool heads are swappable, so you can switch them out. This is actually the knife blade, which is a new accessory for the Maker series. This is the Maker series of Crecut. But I need this one, which is your standard stock blade. This is the fine point blade, and you can switch these out when they get dull. Haven't had to do it yet, but I'm sure we will eventually. So to load it in the machine, it's very easy. It just kind of clamps into place. That's it. I'm ready to load, so I'm going to hit the load button. And then once it kind of homes itself, it gives me a little flashing C button, so I'm going to hit that and cut it out. So this process takes pretty quick because since we're doing just cardstock, it's a lighter material, so we don't have to worry about doing multiple cuts. And just like that, our first piece is done. So what I like to do when you have like bigger artwork, it's a good idea to kind of face this down and then kind of peel away the mat so you don't bend or curl these pieces up. So I got that piece. Next up, let's do our white piece. So again, I'm just going to stick this on here, like that. Put it in. I'm going to go back over to the software and make sure I have the right thing selected. I don't. Here it wants me to do. It automatically advances. So I'm going to go over here and click on the white piece, and that's what I want to cut out. So I'll go there.
And a good tip that John K. just said is to make sure you have enough room in the back because the mat will.
Oh, absolutely.
It goes out of the back of the cutter.
That's right. If you were up against the wall, this mat needs somewhere to go because that's the way it is.
Yeah. So one of the things you got to move out of the way is like the wires and the if you're using USB cable, those are back there. You just want to make sure that those are out of the way so it doesn't bend your mat or paper.
Good tip.
And the reason it does that is because it can support a pretty large mat. I believe it's up to 24.
Oh, that's
inches
right.
long.
So you can go sort of
so you can actually make pretty big banners with this.
These are little pieces I don't need, actually.
Just verifying the longest one that we have here, and it is...
Let's do the dark blue next.
Yes, it's 24 inches long is the...
Is the max?
Is the max, yeah. And
actually
let me just
didn't know
quickly
that.
show how big that is.
It's
So you are able to make pretty big pieces of banner or letters. So this is really good for making, I think one of the popular things that people were asking for was like protest signs or just signs in general. And this would be a really good way to add electronics, papercraft, maybe cut wood to make durable signage.
Right. Don't forget vinyl.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Of
Vinyl
course.
is a big one.
Maybe make like car wraps or something like that.
Oh, I forgot to
Oh,
switch
yes,
to the
and of
camera.
course fabric as
Sorry.
well, as Yanni's pointing out.
Yeah, so fabrics is definitely one that we need to experiment with. We're wearing t-shirts that we made, but these are our first tries. And it was pretty straightforward to do. So we might do some things.
Yes, we are experimenting with adding, we're sewing sequin LEDs onto a
Yeah, I think it'd be cool to
t-shirt.
have actual LEDs on the Circuit Playground t-shirt.
On the artwork for it, yeah.
That'd be kind of neat. So right now I'm cutting the dark piece. You definitely want to make sure you're cutting the right piece with the right colored paper or material. This one is probably the most detailed one, as you can see here. Pretty fine cuts. If you don't cut all the way through, it's a good thing to kind of check before you unload it. That way you can just hit the button again. It'll just do one more pass. So again, I'm going to kind of bend this over. And there we go.
And I want to reiterate that you can actually have it go through multiple passes if you did not get the cut deep enough.
That's right. This one almost didn't either, so I kind of ripped it off, but it's fine. You don't see it too bad.
Again, reiterate on that, you can do that by clicking on the blinking arrow button. That'll just let you do an additional pass. And you can keep doing that until your material's cut.
C, yeah. You could. It won't be blinking, but yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah, it's not the arrow, it's the C.
It's the C. All right, next up I'm going to do this lighter color. There we go.
As you can quickly see, this is a lot more faster than 3D printing.
Well, I mean, we're
There's
cutting.
No heating
we're
up
not,
a bed.
Yeah. Let's see, what's the next one? The next one we're going to do is this lighter blue. Just this right here. You can kind of, if you need to edit it, you can just hit the edit button and reposition it if you like, but I think it's pretty good for now. How's this camera angle working out? We'll probably do this for other projects. I think I loaded it too much. Let's unload it and load it again. If like I ever forget what step I'm in, I'll just unload it and do it again. I think we're good. What happened?
Oh, you probably forgot.
Yeah, I probably confused the machine. Connection interrupted. Uh-oh. Let's go to the thing to see what happened. Oh, I just hit the refresh and it fixed it up. Okay. So don't do that. Don't do what I just did. There we go. All right, so I'm ready to cut now. So I can start layering these together.
SDWNJ is saying to make a blinker wrap for the Tesla.
Oh gosh, that would be amazing. So here's this piece.
What I would like to do is have something that's running Circuit Playground.
CircuitPython?
Circuit Python that would
Are people seeing
run it on there?
Painters? That's great.
What's that?
Our notifications are coming through in this camera, so we'll have to remember next time to turn them off.
They're not showing through.
I just hit it.
Oh, okay.
Because I had to hide it pretty quick because it was something from Walmart or something. But anyway, I got this piece. So one of the things that I changed from the layer by layer was I added an extra layer to reveal his eyes. So what I'm going to do is I have an option to either do this color for his eyes or this color for his eyes. What do you guys think? If I were to use this sort of galaxy looking thing, his eyes would look like that. And I don't think there's much contrast there, so I don't think I'll be using that. I'm just going to use this because that's kind of how it's supposed to be. See? All right, so let's do that. I tend to save a lot of scraps too, and I'm glad I did because all of these pieces were scraps. I just squared them up using one of those squaring tools.
Bill Binko is saying that a really good tip is to alternate corners to keep the mat sticky as well.
Oh gosh, that is such a great tip. Thank you, Bill. Yeah, I've been trying to do that as well. With my first mat, it's just like one part of it is just beat up and no longer sticky.
And then another tip that we saw on YouTube was the use of a cleaning product called Totally Awesome.
Yeah.
It's available at Dollar Tree stores.
That's right.
And it's a nice way to wipe down, clean off any excess gunk that builds up on the cutting mats. It worked really well.
That is correct. Yeah, I did it. If you search too how to clean the sticky mat, there's quite a few videos out there, but yeah, Totally Awesome seems to be the... It's funny, I thought it was a fake.
Yeah, there's like...
It's a dollar store product, so you can literally buy it for $1 or whatever. All right, let's do the last piece.
It's like people have DIY'd their own mats as well, but
that's
if you search on Amazon, I believe a 3-pack costs like $12, so it's kind of not worth it.
Yeah. But it is definitely worth it to clean it. Definitely.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so that's looking pretty good. So again, if you guys watched my layer by layer, I actually had these eyepieces individual, like, there were cutouts that I had to reposition. So by cutting them out and having just another backing layer for his eyes, I think kind of works. And it might be, it's more material you have to use. It's a little bit more time, but I think it's worth it than struggling to align it properly. So there you go. There's our layers.
It's a good technique on aligning parts.
Exactly. So let's go ahead and go over to the overhead because we're done cutting. How long did that take, guys? Like 10 minutes?
I didn't time it.
I didn't time it. Good thing we're doing this live. So here's our guys. So you'll notice here that this first one I did, come on, focus for me, please.
A little bit more down.
You can't really see it, but this is manually placed, and it was kind of difficult to do so. And it was hard to, like, is it mirrored? Do I have to flip it? Is it go on the left? Does it go on the right? So this way, so much better. And all I had to do was just take those eyes and subtract it from this white layer. So there you go. That's how quick and easy it is to kind of make these paper crafts. Now, if you use different material, of course, there's a little bit of different process. If you're doing vinyl, you will have to use something called transfer tape that will take the design off the backing and transfer it to whatever surface you like. If you're doing iron-on for t-shirts, you don't have to use transfer tape because it's already on the backing. So my goal is to make my nephew Gavin a t-shirt with this little guy on the front. I think it'd be so cool. So there you go. I could glue it, but I don't want to ruin this beautiful paper surface we have here, so I'm just going to do that. There you go. So there you go. There's our, do you want the SVGs for that? Of course, it's on the learning guide, as I stated. It's in the GitHub repo. And I think that's pretty much it, guys. That's it for the live cutting session. Thank you for the tips. I really appreciate them. There's some good ones. As we're doing it live, we kind of forget these things. And as people use them, they'll come up with their own techniques and their own tips and stuff for cleaning and whatnot.
And of course, send us any photos, any STEM or STEAM teachers. One of the things that we always see in terms of decoration size of classrooms is the heavy use of paper crafts for all the decorations or for all the learning things in terms of subjects. So definitely take pictures if you see any of these, or if you make any of these for your classroom, for your kids.
And there's a lot of other things that we haven't covered. Good mention from John K. Besides cutting, you could do scoring for fold lines. You can do pen plotting, which
what
We're
I use
probably
for
going to start doing some
it's actually what I
of,
used for doing the alignment of placing objects on top of each other.
Yes.
So definitely handy for having registration marks automatically placed on there. There's also like for fabric, you have like washable pens. So there's a lot of assortment of different tools that you can add on the dual head.
And don't forget, you don't have to just cut out characters. You could make stencils for your electronics. Maybe you want to do a solder mask out of transparency. That'd be really cool. I haven't done that yet, but I bet you can. And judging from my shirt, you can get pretty detailed. I mean, I had no idea that all these icons would actually show up. I'll show you guys in next week's video. This is literally, I did that like yesterday.
Of course, the first thing that we were doing was making Papercraft enclosures and boxes, so you can check out all the guides for that if you missed any of that, on how to mount all of your servos and circuit playgrounds. And we'll also make a make-do focus one where we're using 3D printed mounts to connect it to Papercraft projects.
That's right. And last week, oh, look at Pedro. This
will be another upcoming one. This is taking the templates from the Nintendo Labo and making inputs for the circuit playground.
Great,
that.
Another great use of the folding and scoring.
Yeah.
Also, last week we talked about combining 3D printed objects with your paper crafted objects. So combining different mediums is always a good thing to do, to experiment with. So if you got something you want to do, maybe add some little bit of depth to your work, you can do that. Like this little MakeCode logo that we did. We just printed this in, 2 perimeters, and it took like, I don't know, 15 minutes to 3D print, as opposed to printing all this right here. That would take hours. So that's pretty cool.
So nice assortment of tools to look at to add to your tool belt.
Yeah, very cool.
Moving over to some.
Hold on, I'm not done yet. Yeah, we're gonna come back in there. So to go with this, of course, we have a layer by layer. So please check out the layer by layer if you're interested in making some vector graphics. I show you how to how I came up with the vectors for the Sparky character, designed by Bruce Yan. And some people were asking too in the comments. How do I get my JPEGs or something? There's online converters. I linked to a couple of them. I think it's called vectormagic.com. Or if you're a subscriber to the Adobe Cloud, you can use Illustrator and the trace feature to trace out your JPEGs into vectors. But really the goal here is once you have your vectors, you gotta optimize them for cutting and layering and all that. So that's really what I was focusing here. But we had some really good comments on the YouTubes, which I will pull up now and just kind of walk through a little bit of them because I really like them. Cool. Here are the comments. We actually do want to read the comments. All right. I thought that was funny. AVE, if you don't know AVE, yeah. It's
the logo, yeah.
That reminds me of AVE. So here we go. So this was a great one from Antipico, who's saying, if, for example, making a layered vinyl sticker, it might be a good idea to offset the outline with the lower layers to allow some misalignment without revealing the edges. Moreover, having identical temporary position marks for each layer, such as squares in the corners, also helps aligning. And that is a really good tip. I'm gonna probably start doing that, especially for the t-shirts, because layering vinyl for iron-on, it's a little bit different because you got bends and inconsistencies, and you have this giant heat press that you have to kind of... So definitely registration marks I'm going to start doing. Here's one from Kevin, who's saying when you're subtracting multiple objects from one object, you can speed things up a little by creating a compound path of all the objects. For instance, you could select the left eye, the mouth, all the facial features, and create it into one single compound, and then subtract that from your light blue layer using the Pathfinder. It won't save you a ton of steps in this example, but a really good example would be like if you're doing a polka dotted pattern. So that's like, oh yeah, of course. So thank you so much to you guys for commenting and helping other people out too.
And a quick reminder, Bill Binko is saying that Inkscape also does a really fantastic job of importing bitmaps and converting those over. You just got to know the settings. I did request if you want to do a 101 tutorial, that'd be really good. A lot of people are in Inkscape.
They are, and I need to start using it because it's kind of more accessible is really what we want. So great. Pushing me more towards the Inkscape. Cool. All right, well now that's the project. All the files are there. We talked about the process, did a little bit of live stuff, talked about the layer by layer. Now we're going to jump into what are you prototyping?
This week's, what are you prototyping? Hey, we still do 3D printing.
Yeah, we do.
Super easy 2032 coin cell battery holder with built-in on and off button.
This is a great way to make throwies, LED throwies.
Yes.
Normally you just stick an LED with some tape, but you always get gunk, residue on the batteries. So this is a great way to kind of make something that's sort of non-destructive in a way, and a little bit more cleaner. How long did it take to 3D print it?
I think 8 minutes for each side, and these work out very well for a future project that we're going to be working on for adding glowy parts to.
What's the funnest activity kids are going to do this summer? I think it's making.
So everybody, like all outlets, Michael's, like all the arts and crafts stores, all have like these huge, big pushes on making your DIY slime. So PT thought it'd be a really good input method for Circuit Playground. So future project is we're going to be adding like NeoPixels and lights, and if you've looked at any of the slime stuff, they always add like additional items into it, like glitter or beads or
puff balls.
Yeah,
all these kind of things to make these kind of fun and interesting textures for this slime.
Yeah, so I wanted to make a way to have a easy to make enclosure. You can add lights on the inside of that, and this works pretty well. Yeah, you can have your lights glowing on the inside.
And it's glow in the dark too.
So. Yeah, so this is all glow in the dark as well. And this is all the Elmer glow in the dark glue, and they actually have a solution that'll let you easily mix all of this together, because usually it has to be baking soda and lens contact, so they have a nice pre-made, non-toxic, kid-safe solution for this. So if you want to run the snap on what we've been actually using this for.
Correct, Mundo.
So we'll have a nice little guide on how to mix this stuff together.
This looks a lot more slimy, so you can get different consistencies, different viscosities, and it's capacitive touch from the looks of it. It looks like we'll make some slime pianos, maybe.
Some operation-themed games, so you don't have to touch like the sides of it. So really focusing on summer activities for kids to do with
electronics in the Circuit Playground.
PT is LEDs. Coining the term Slimetronics for this, and look how good this stuff glows. This is incredible. They have different colors. We'll be showing all of those off. And then the really cool thing that I want to show off is a preview of an upcoming product coming into the store. These are NeoPixel strips, but they're all UV NeoPixels. So if you turn these on, we're just using MakeCode to control these. Which one did you stick it to?
It's supposed to be A2.
A2, yep, it's hooked up there. There we go.
There we go. So these are NeoPixels. They're just like NeoPixels, but instead of an RGB element, they're all UV elements. Yeah, so you pretty much program the exact same way.
Yeah. So I don't know what the nanometers on the UVs are, but it does do a really good job of charging up the glow-in-the-dark slime here.
Yep.
So check that out. So this would make a fantastic UV resin curing little enclosure, or what we're going to use it for is putting it at the bottom like of themed treasure box or something like that to light up and have really intense glowing on the slime.
Well, Lansky's coming up with the practical use of slime. Clean your
That is
keyboard.
One of the best uses
and
that I've seen for that.
Yeah, you use it to clean up the gunky phones.
It does a really good job of picking up all that
stuff. Yeah, so great, good comment, Linsky. Some other comments. Hello, Jordan, who's just coming in. John K's saying he's made a similar LED throwy with his 3D printer.
Oh, nice.
But the LED's on the flat side, so you can use them with tabletop board games that he's designing. That is very cool.
That's a good idea.
Share that with us. Sounds cool.
Yeah. Of course, I'll be uploading the mechanism for this.
SDWNJ's got a great comment. Making the stick figure family that you see in the back windows of cars with the Circuit Playground characters. That'd be great.
Really cool. Did we run in the snaps that we ran, we'll use it for inputs, for making audio projects, glowy projects with the upcoming new UV NeoPixel strip. So we'll be using sound and all that with that.
Can you make a hamster tanning bed with UV NeoPixels? That's a great idea.
That'll be a good use of that.
All right, Paige. Well, so how do you actually connect a strand of NeoPixels to the Circuit Playground?
So that's actually something I had to research
with MakeCode. I have to say. With MakeCode.
It's actually pretty easy. So if we jump into
MakeCode, it's time for our MakeCode minute.
So we actually want to make sure that we jump into the beta side of this, so you're actually able to pair your Circuit Playground Express to use Web USB directly on the MakeCode website. True Tech is saying, yeah, fake sneeze for kids.
Those are fun, yeah. All right, so I'm in MakeCode, and I just pasted the link down in the description for the beta URL for doing Web USB. It is very, very nice to be able to just upload it directly from your browser. So we're in Chrome, works only in Chrome. Let's go ahead and make a new project. And we're gonna start, we got a forever loop. We don't need it right now. What we do want is an on start loop. So on start, we wanna initiate a NeoPixel strip. So how do we do that? Well, the first thing we probably should do is come up with a variable. So I'm gonna make a variable, I'm gonna call it strip, and I'll hit OK. And as soon as I do that, I get these little blocks of goodness here that I'm gonna use. I'm gonna use the set strip to 0. I'm gonna put that in that start. Next thing I need to do is I need to kind of say what pin is my strip on. So I'm gonna open up the light, and when I do that, I get another menu called NeoPixel. So I'm gonna click on that one, and then I get revealed all of these, basically all the stuff that's pre-made for the onboard NeoPixels are available in external NeoPixels. In this sample, we're doing the strips. So I'm gonna take this create strip on A1, and I'm going to take that out and I'm going to plop it into that little, where it says 2, 0. So I'm going to plop that in there. And I'm going to tell it what pin I want the strip connected to. That's going to be A2. And then how many NeoPixels do I have? Well, I have 32. Enter. All right, now I can start saying, well, what do I want to do with my pixels? I want to light them up. Let's do something fun. Let's say on clap, we'll do, or on the loud sound, we'll actually turn the NeoPixels on. So I'll go to light, NeoPixels. And then I want to say, I want to set all the pixels to a color on loud sound. There's my strip. What color do I want? Well, I only have UV, so I'm going to make them all white. That'll turn all the pixels on. And then maybe I want to do a pause. Maybe I want to pause it. I want to keep that lit for a certain amount of time, maybe 2 seconds. And then I want to shut it off. If I want to shut it off, I can do the same thing, set set the strips to all pixels to off. So that's what will happen. So all we got to do now is just connect our Circuit Playground to micro USB. Do you want to do the honors? While I flip over to the overhead, we're just going to plug it in. And check this out. Once we plug it in, MakeCode is going to say, because
make sure that we're paired.
Yep, over here down in the cogwheel, we go over to pair device. And you'll see that I have my PTX device. It's paired. I'm going to hit connect. It gives me a little thing here saying, all right, you're ready to download. So I'm going to hit the download button. You'll see it load a little bit. And if we go to the overhead, it seems to work. And it's 2 seconds, so it goes off now. And you could, of course, change this to be on button press A, button press B, on when you tilt it. Or you could even graph it to do a UV light thing. That'd be really fun. Let's go ahead and do that.
Does the graph actually show up for this?
Yeah, it does. So I actually already saved it out. So I'm going to save this as just a tutorial. And then it's really cool how it kind of saves it automatically for you sometimes when you make changes. So I got my UV NeoPixel strip. And I think, oh, I don't have the graph sound on this one. We'll have to skip it for later. But yeah, you could definitely do stuff. If you go home, there's a nice tutorial on loudness. Actually, I think this is it. Yeah, this is it exactly. So there's a graph block that you can use to use the sound level to light up the pixels at a certain range. So in this case, I have my limit set to 100 because I don't want it too loud, and we have so many pixels to go with, so it's going to graph it across all those pixels. So let's go ahead and download that.
Well, I want to show the simulator.
What's up with the simulator?
The graph. Show the console.
Oh, you got a graph?
Boom.
Yeah, so here's a graph, and I can play around with this loudness thing. You see the graph there is
so cool.
Moving with my simulated audio thing. I'm just clicking this little icon over here, to represent how much audio input is coming in. So great visual way to plot your data or data. Let me pause that.
A great way to get values so you can see at what numbers you want to set percentages at or numbers at.
Speaking to the mic over here. It should.
Hello.
It's kind of working. It's a little dim, but it is working.
Whoa.
It's one of the things with these. It seems to work well with the 3-volt logic. I mean, obviously with the 5-volt logic, it'll probably be more powerful. And
we do want to point out they're just a little bit dimmer as UV LEDs are, but once you're in a dark area, they light up pretty bright.
Yep. Cool. All right, well, that's what we got. That was our sort of a MakeCode sort of live demo. That was fun.
Yes, nice little project coming up. Cool product coming soon. Ooh. Next up is this week's Community Makes.
We got a shop talk thing, don't we?
Oh, okay.
I don't remember what it is. Let's see if we can get this to focus.
This week's shop talk is it the parts, 360 parts on GitHub?
Yep, just a quick PSA. Don't forget we have all of our CAD files on GitHub. So if you are looking for that feather board or that circuit playground or those buttons, arcade buttons for your next project, and you want to model them and model around them, check out Adafruit CAD parts on GitHub. I've got a link for you guys in the description. All right, we ready to do some 3D printing time lapses?
Yes, this week's Community Makes is this really cool alien predator pliers.
Official name.
I think the actual name is Predator Action Pliers.
Yes.
Is what he
has
it labeled up.
Designed by Enrique on Thingiverse, which we'll take a look at his profile in just a second. He's got some really cool art designs.
You might remember his previous designs, the grabber hands, the dual grabber hands, the super long grabber hands. He's back at it with geared.
Look at it's so mesmerizing.
I know, it's a geared set of pliers. Cool. Dual extruded. We use Simplify 3D to separate the meshes, and then just printed this inside of Cura, sent it over to the Ultimaker 3, and here it is. Very good job.
Those. Very good.
Yeah, really good job of, really good use of the gear structure.
Print in place gears.
Print in place.
Testing out your tolerances. No fusion. Did you get any fusing layers?
Actually, no.
How do you avoid the fusing stuff?
So there were some people asking how to achieve this without having any of the layers fuse, or the parts fuse. And the number one trick that I always use is using a smaller extrusion width.
Thinner extrusion width, sometimes called lined width, like in Cura.
Yeah. So typically the default is like 0.48 or 0.4.
0.33, I believe, or 0.35 for...
0.35 on Cura. So I just lowered it down to 3.4. You probably get away with a 0.32 millimeter extrusion width, and that's just going to make sure that the lines are thinner and they don't connect and fuse together. So you can kind of see that we were getting just a tiny bit of fusion there, and that's just because of the bed. When it first prints, the first initial layer is a little bit more squished down to make sure that there is proper adhesion onto the belt or onto the bed.
Did you have to calibrate? Do you have to recalibrate the nozzles? Or they've just been calibrated for like a while now, right?
Yeah, I mean, it asks you after on the Ultimaker 3s,
okay.
You can set when you want to, a reminder on when to calibrate these.
Doesn't seem like you had to, huh? No support material, of course, either?
No support material, and yeah, really mesmerizing way
it does
to
look like a
incorporate
tool, like a syringe of sorts.
That's probably why he calls it Predator Pliers. It kind of looks like that.
Well, it is on Thingiverse. Again, designed by Enrique.
Really good remix that I saw posted the other day as well, where all they do is adjust the offset of where the gear part is, to give you a stronger grip.
Oh, that's interesting. That's cool.
So I wanted to print that, but just ran out of time. This does take quite a while to print if you're doing the dual extrusion.
And you will have to manually separate the pieces for you.
Yeah.
You can find some tutorials out there, I'm sure. We've covered it before in a previous 3D Hangout. Maybe we'll link to it.
Yeah.
Got to fill a search for it. And again, shout out to Enrique, who is the designer of this wonderful model. He also designed these guys, the grab toys, all the different grab toys. So check them out.
Check those out. Those are the most funnest office toys. That's right. Check those out.
All right, and continuing with our community makes, we actually have a very special one from Dennis Baldwin, who created your drone circuit playground payload deployment apparatus.
Yeah, I didn't realize that a couple of people have been trying to make an optimized version of this. His first attempt was using the microbit to actually sense. He was going to do like a procedure where he spins 360 and then it senses the motion for that. I thought about doing that when I was having trouble adjusting the light leaking on this, but if you are in, an area where, destruction has just happened, like my first thought was like, oh no, like if we're in a hurricane situation where there's air blown around, you're gonna have to do some maneuvers that might trigger the
So the light sensor is a pretty reliable way to do it. Yeah. What is DroneBlocks?
So I've actually never heard of this, but I think is it from Microsoft or from DJI? It
looks like Scratch or MakeCode. It looks like a block-based editor when you drag things. So it seems like he's creating some sequence for the LED, a sort of animated sequence.
Sequenced actions or events. So it'll fly up, move forward, do a little spin. So you could actually program.
Yeah, look, repeat 3 times, do LEDs turn on and off.
Yeah.
So I think he does want to do an egg drop sort of thing.
I think he did mention that,
so, check this video out. We have it linked down below, and we're going to share it on the blog as well, because it's really cool. What Dennis is doing here. So thank you so much for sharing it with us, and we're happy to see that collaborative and really put it to that next level of what we wanted to do. We probably were going to do that. Right?
I like this. Yes, that is an upcoming project. Carter Nelson is working on the code for getting the Circuit Playground Express to save data on velocity and all that.
It's so crazy. We're going to use a Circuit Playground to drop a Circuit Playground so you can play on the playground.
So really cool upcoming project, hopefully in time for when school gets back in.
Yeah.
All you science teachers, we have a nice curriculum for that.
Very cool. Well, we've exhausted all of our fun things to show you. I don't have anything else to show you. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. So we have a little bit of time. We have like 10 minutes. There's a new update, beta, from Ultimaker Cura. There's a new beta version of it. One of the things I think is going to be fun is, the thing that sticked out to me was just they're fixing their slicing algorithm. So one of the things is called basically better holes. It's called print outside perimeters before holes. Basically, this is the sentence right here. This reduces the risk of travel movements, dislodging holes from the outer plate. I think this will also help the scarring that you get, because the nozzle likes to go from a circle to the outline, and then you end up with this like line that's going in the opposite direction of your...
It's super annoying when the bottom of your part is what's actually going to be the front facing.
And it has all these scars and all these holes and stuff in it. And you're like, argh. Some people actually just drill the holes after to avoid that from happening. But it's good to see that is happening. We'll be downloading and testing it out.
We'll be checking it out later, yeah.
There's also some other interesting things.
Always a really cool improvement, so definitely check it out. And it is what all the open source printers base their slicer off of.
You can import an image now, and then it'll convert that image into a pattern for your infill. So if you're doing something interesting. I know somebody's going to do something really artistic and interesting with it.
Third-party stability fixes, a lot of cool under the
stuff, yeah. A lot of under the hood stuff, yeah.
Non-G-code USB. Yeah, I didn't read any of this. So.
Yeah, I'm glad I did then. I just read a little bit.
So check it out. I think that's going to be it. I know this is somebody, True Tech is saying that it'd be funny to set the dinner table with these pliers with guests for salad serving. Yeah, this would be awesome. All right, cool. I think that's going to be it for this episode.
We got some stuff for you. Don't go anywhere yet, because tonight is the show and tell. We'll be there. Hopefully you'll join us, share your projects, what you're working on, what you want to work on. That's on Wednesday. It's today at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time.
Yep.
And then
Ask an Engineer, full hour of Phil and Lamar talking about all the cool happenings in Adafruit, all the cool new products coming out.
Don't miss that.
More Cricut projects, a ton of more Cricut projects.
And then tomorrow we have another live show from the great John Park. John Park's workshop. Be sure to join him on Thursday, 4 p.m. Eastern Time. Making some great stuff. Check out the guides too. He's got some of the guys on the learning system.
Yes, yes.
And thank you guys for supporting us, the team. We don't have any venture capital, so
yes,
we're fully supported by you guys. So thank you guys so much.
Yep, that's why we can do really weird and cool projects like slime and paper and stuff like that.
And puppet shows.
And puppet shows.
If you haven't seen the puppet show, please do watch. Minerva, special guest, first time. Face reveal.
Voice reveal.
Voice reveal.
And as always, don't forget, coupon code for this week is GlueStick. It'll get you 10% off your order. Works on everything except subscriptions and certificates.
That's right. We'll see you guys tonight and next week. But until then, remember to make a great, we're supposed to say it at the same time. Make a great day. Bye, everybody. Adios.
Thanks, guys.